Forgot the opening. Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Fans in Motion podcast, the only podcast you didn't know you needed. I'm looking at my friend Josh, and I say, Josh, I'd like to stay away, but I like it too much. I can't escape an angry touch. Say hello, Josh.
Yo, yo, yo. What track is that? You said it too
That
fast.
is White Knuckle Ride off the glorious
Oh,
album,
holy cow, man.
Hole in the Sun.
You're digging deep, man. You got the fist going with that one.
I was like, if he knows this song, I'm going to have to send him a package in the mail.
Yeah. I probably would not have gotten at
No,
it even if I thought about it. And I like the track. I mean,
so it's funny. So and we'll do a show later where we've talked about we'll get into our road trip, but uh two things. A, it was a white knuckle ride for me, driving 1,400 miles in 3 days, 4 days, whatever it was. But also, as we were driving on our massive road trip, I had a Night Ranger playlist, and it just shuffles like 60 songs or whatever it is. And I said to Mark and Brent, I said, I think I've got a song representing every album on my playlist. And I wasn't sure. And then White Knuckle Ride came up. I was like, I do have something from Hole in the Sun. And Mark said, including this time, it's the third time I've heard this song. It's like, so anyway, we'll talk about Mark at a later date. But yeah, Little White Knuckle Ride. It's one of the, and I need to go back and revisit Hole in the Sun. I give it a lot of grief because I don't think it's a good album. I thought not good, but I think it was a throwaway. I'm probably way off on that, but I don't think I've given it a fair shake, is what I'm getting at.
I don't think it was a throwaway record. I know that from conversations, the work was put into it. It just wasn't a very good time, maybe in the studio.
Yeah.
But speaking of Hole in the Sun, that was a topic I was going to bring up. Someone on the page, and I got it right here. Bada bing. Nate Hill. I don't like him already because his profile pic is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Arch enemy of the Cincinnati Reds.
Anyone know why Feeding Off the Mojo and Hole in the Sun are not on Spotify?
Right. I remember this post.
Well, I can't say for sure, but I don't think I'm speaking out of school here that Feeding Off the Mojo is kind of neglected in the Night Ranger discography. Probably with the reason that Jack Blades is not on that record, and they I don't know if "they" is the proper word to use there, but tend to not recognize that record. So hence, I mean, it's not only on Spotify, but you won't see it on, any of the discographies. Yeah. If you go to like official pages, that album is skipped. So that's the reason why they're in Hole in the Sun. I would just say maybe Night Ranger has asked that it not be put up there because I'm pretty sure it's a Frontiers release. All the other Frontiers releases are on there. And Frontier releases before that, Kelly Kagi solo record, I'm pretty sure Jack's solo record from 2004, those are on there. So you can't say that, it's too far back.
Right.
That would be my, if they can go on there and say, hey, we don't want Feeding Off the Mojo, I'm pretty sure they could say that to any record.
But we talked, but I don't recall that who owns Mojo.
You know what? I don't think anybody knows.
Okay, because I remember we had a conversation about it, and I thought it. If my memory serves me correct, we were never sure about the ownership of that because I think we talked to Gary about that, and he wasn't positive either.
The only thing that has happened with it was maybe, I don't even know if it's 10 years ago, but not that long ago. It was released. There was these, I don't know, like there's this company, I think it's called Gusto, that would release like country CDs of 20 greatest hits of Conway Twitty and 20, these kind of, they were geared to sell at a clearance rate. You would find them at Odd Lots or Roses, places like that. Anyways, they combined a hits of the 90s. So like 10 hits of the 90s
Hmm.
and Night Ranger feeding off the mojo um into a special edition. So the cover is half mojo and the other half is hits of the 90s, and there's two CDs inside, and it is the mojo CD. Um it's everything's just like you would have gotten from the
Yeah.
90s. So they would have had to license it from somewhere, or maybe they got people out there go, hey, no one knows who owns that, let's just release it. We don't have to pay anything, and
Right.
see if anybody tries to
See
sue
what
us.
happens.
So that's the only answer to that question on
All right.
who owns Mojo.
What do we
um,
got going on today, Josh? What's this
well,
episode?
we are just going to, a little bit of news, notes, and minutia.
I mean, I'm trying to enjoy this tropical weather here.
Yeah, no, look at that.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get too much into the Night Ranger Cleveland show with the orchestra, because we're going to bring Mark on here in a week or two or three, and we're going to recount the whole adventure that Mark and Brent and Andrew had. But we'll talk about it a little bit. So, if you've been on Fans of Motion, you've probably seen tons of great photos.
Yeah.
um, I mean, a lot of the Fans of Motion were right up front, so plenty of opportunities to take good photos. I think I just posted one today on Eric's page that Kathy Kirkman Lane took of Eric.
There was a great representation
Oh
of the
yeah,
Fans in Motion there.
and the photos, don't have everybody.
No,
Um, from the Winking Lizard, which was the bar we met at the night before and the night after.
I got to
Um,
tell you real quick, and we'll elaborate later on. That was the first time I think in 30 years I was one of the last people out of a bar. Like they told us we had to leave. Me, Mark, and
mhm.
um, I think were you still there?
Probably not. I don't know. Yeah, it was close. Yeah,
They
yep.
were pushing us out the door, and I
Because
think everybody had gone out. Mark stood in the doorway because they were playing Sister Christian,
we
so he just stood there listening.
because remember we all went out in the parking lot and talked.
But I haven't. I mean, especially since I don't drink, I don't close bars down anymore, and I haven't done that with my friends since I was in my 20s. So
Um, yeah, I mean, I used to bartend, so I would go when I got my bar closed a little bit earlier. So I would go to other bars. And I knew all the bartenders there. So when they would close, I knew them, so I didn't have to leave. So I
yeah.
could sit. They would let me drink for the hour that it took to clean up the place, and
Ooh.
so yeah, I closed a lot of places. So yeah. So for those that don't know, Night Ranger played with the Contemporary Youth Orchestra filled with kids from I think like 12, 11 up to like maybe 16,
Yeah.
17, somewhere in there. And they've done shows with Styx and a whole bunch of other people. So Night Ranger got there. Um, Night Ranger rehearsed with them some on Monday, some on Tuesday. Uh, Tuesdays where I was up there. Well, I was up there Monday night. This is a good little story. I have to post the video. So I got there Monday, and after rehearsals later at night, after everybody had dinner, me and Eric met up and had some beers and closed the bar down. And during the show, Jack talks about, you know,
Oh
Eric.
yeah.
He goes, talking about Eric a couple nights ago, hitting all the fine establishments and all that. And I was like, yeah, I feel like we're getting, talked to by dad here. But so Monday night, I think I posted a video too on Facebook. I took it off after, that morning. I didn't want any incriminating evidence, but me and Eric at the bar having some beers and eating some good cheese. So Tuesday they rehearsed. Wednesday Or Tuesday night, we had the Fans in Motion gathering that we were just mentioning at the Winking Lizard.
Yes.
And that's what's great. I mean, you know all these people already, most of them. You're meeting people for the first time. You can go to a show now, and you're almost guaranteed to run into someone from the page.
Yep.
Um, and I
Listen,
mean,
that bar probably didn't understand what was happening at the time. If you weren't there, you have to understand, and I won't go into detail, but certain members of the Fans in Motion took over the jukebox.
yeah.
I don't know how these new systems work. I don't. I'm too old for this technology. But every song was night. People had songs waiting to get played,
No,
and
we're playing. I mean, all the deep tracks.
the
Uh,
bar just was nothing but Night Ranger and people trying to have a good time. No idea what was going on. We were
yeah.
loud.
Well, we had no idea probably what's going on too after a few beers, but
If you weren't there, you truly missed out. And hopefully, um, we'll have more events like that because it was just so much fun.
yeah, I mean, there's and it was, a little like to say a little thing for Nadalman there, Dave Nadelman that most of you know on the page. He was going to head up, I think, with his daughter, right?
Yeah,
And I think the day before, his father had a stroke and unfortunately passed away, shortly after that. So he wasn't able to make it. So, um, we were all thinking of him, and I was definitely, you know, raising a few glasses
yeah,
to him and his dad, and I know I got a few things to mail down to him, and a few others got some stuff for him. So, took care of him as
yeah,
much as we could from
yeah.
here. But yeah, the Winking Lizard, um, good turnout. I mean, we had 5 or 6 tables. 6 people at a table.
It
Um,
was uh, it was overwhelming,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
wasn't working there. I was just part of the chaos.
and yeah, and I mean, I'm getting better. With all the name. Like I'm not good with names to begin with, but I'm starting to see after 8 or 10 shows, I'm like, all right,
Oh my
yeah,
god.
hey, um, but and then Wednesday, obviously the day of the show.
Yep.
Um, obviously, um, all of us were there, and
And the
yeah,
show was fantastic.
yeah, camera crews all around.
Yep.
Uh, now, depending on where you sat, really depended on if you could hear the orchestra or not. Now, me,
Yes.
I mean, you too, we were all down up and down front. You really couldn't hear the orchestra, but talking to the people, if you were up in the balcony or underneath the balcony there, you really could hear it better.
Oh, good.
Now, now they recorded the orchestras separately. So when they go to mix this for whatever release, video or audio or both, they're going to be able to manipulate it and bring the
Oh,
strings
good.
and
Good.
everything up. So, yeah, so it was awesome. We'll do a little bit more in depth when we can get Brent on here with us and Mark. Um, to me, the highlight was Call My Name, uh, especially if it's going to be a release because that's never been, except for like the VHS from '85, really.
Yeah.
Um, and it may be on the '83 Japanese release, but like any CD release, it's never been recorded live,
Yeah.
and it was very cool to see live. The orchestra does this intro. There's all this smoke and haze on stage, and
Yep.
there's Jack singing those opening lines.
It was
So
beautiful.
so it's
And
very,
I was pleasantly surprised by Rumors.
yeah,
Just because I didn't expect to hear Rumors, and I love it. It's one of my favorites live. So I'm like, oh, bonus for Andy. I like
yeah.
this song.
I mean, I wish they would have done. I mean, I think they could have done "Rain Comes Crashing Down," "Hearts Away,"
We were
something like
hoping for Rain. That was perfect for Rain, but
yeah.
we don't have that kind of pool.
And then the next night or 2 nights later, um, I was planning on going to that show, but my kiddo got sick, and
Yeah.
I decided to go take care of him for a few days. But Mark and Andy and Brent, um, they wandered over to Nashville, Indiana. And we'll get more into all those hijinks later.
Cool.
But you guys did get to hear probably the first time in over 30 years. No, I think they did it acoustically on some of the Dawn of Madness.
Yeah, they might have. I saw one of the shows, but I don't recall the set list.
But they did Reason to Be.
Yeah.
So how cool. Now people have been saying, stuff about Man in Motion, and I've told them, like, people are like, they'll never play that. I'm like, it may be closer than you think. Because I know that was one. I heard it acoustically back in January in Bristol at that acoustic show.
Yeah.
They didn't play it that night, but they played it at sound check. And when I heard that, I was just like, oh, fuck. I just
Yeah.
took it in. And then when I saw the set list for the show and it wasn't on there, I had a 6-hour drive and then I was going to Lima that next
Yep.
night. Once I saw it wasn't on there, I looked at the set list. I saw Forever all over again. I'm like, oh wait, I'll stay here for that one.
Yeah.
And
I'll
then
take that.
yep, and then I'm out of here. But so yeah, uh, you know, good good song selection. They didn't play it the next night, but hopefully
No, but I
they'll sneak it in here and there.
I have my camera rolling for
You
that one.
did. You
Um,
did.
I was when I saw, I didn't know it. I had no idea the set list, but I saw Brad and Kerry walk out with acoustics, and I'm doing some math in my head, and Kelly was standing out front, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think they're doing goodbye. So I was like, I'm gonna start recording and see what happens here.
Look at you go.
And then you
Your
hear
your Night Ranger instincts.
it was weird. I was like, something's happening here, and I'm like, don't screw this up. And you
um,
hear someone yell little fuck yeah. I think that's Mark Greenaway when if you watch my video. Someone asked about it. I said, I'm pretty sure that was Mark, but I'm not
say,
positive.
was it like fuck yeah, you wank us?
He
Um,
was next to me, man. I mean, well, again, we'll get into it. The man was losing his mind, and it was so fun to witness.
um, another thing that happened a couple weeks ago now, the 40th anniversary.
The debated 40th anniversary. I
Yeah,
saw some of the going back and forth on some of the people. I didn't
I,
get involved because
I'm
I don't have an answer.
I'm pretty sure it's not November 1st. Now,
Yeah.
uh, I I think it was later in the month. Um,
And
so
the guys don't recall, right?
you know what I
I mean, did you reach out to them?
I did, which I very rarely will I ever tell them to call me, right? But that day I sent texts. I'm like, when you get a minute, and so Jack, I talked to Jack, and I'm like, you know, do you like? I'm hoping, right? Like they'll go, oh yeah, it was released the day after Halloween,
Right.
or oh, it was released on my Aunt Jessica's birthday, November 17th or whatever, right? I'm hoping I get something like that. But they were rock stars in the 80s. I guess really what I was hoping at is, do you guys remember Dawn Patrol? But Jack really got into it. Like he's looking at he has boxes from them, and we're looking at postage dates. And he did send me a photo of the box that was mailed to him from Boardwalk. Um, and it didn't help us. It was for a single. It was for another single. It was released later the next year, which was Young Girl in Love. But I'm like, that box, just the box, is worth something. Like, I'm, that is
To
cool.
us, yes.
Yes. And what's funny is I'm in the middle of this, with Jack, and I see Brad call in, and it's one of those moments where I've got to ignore Brad Gillis for a second. But Brad, had some dates, but it was still nothing we could really. I think what you'd have to do is look at some old magazines from the time, Rolling Stone, Charting, um, maybe Billboard, or there was a trade magazine. I'm trying to think what was called, Network Radio or something like that. Something one of those you would
Yeah.
have to dig into and to get the date exactly. But 40th anniversary. As I was talking, because I brought up the quote. When we couldn't find out a date, right? I brought up the quote. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. And I was talking to Kelly, and he knew right away. Liberty Vance, um, old movie with John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart. But so that's what we did. We just went with November 1st. With
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, it's we know it was November of '82. At least got
yeah,
that part right. And it's
yeah,
funny that there's nowhere we can pinpoint that you think somewhere that would just be in the history, but like I guess if you go to Wikipedia, which we know isn't always accurate, but it lists November 1st. Am I
mhm.
correct? Is that because that's what Brent was
Yeah.
saying?
Um, well, I mean, think about like
You can't
Kit.
really call Boardwalk.
Yeah, think about Kiss. All those Kiss fans out there, all the people that own memorabilia, and they're still not certain on the release date of the first Kiss record.
Yeah,
Um, of other records, they'll have on Wikipedia. Yeah, it was April 24th,
but the first
1977.
one,
But they'll be like, yeah, but look at this. This is an advertisement for this store, April 12th, and look what it's selling. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, so yeah, so that's I mean, what I'm saying is even bands that have 100 times more fans and a lot more material out there, they can't figure out
right.
dates, let alone, us trying to figure out something with
Well,
Pawn
regardless,
Patrol.
40 years ago, this phenomenal album changed lives for a lot of, well, not a lot, but a handful of people.
Ah,
Changed our lives.
you know, I'm always amazed, like on the Night Ranger page, when we'll put something up and hey, leave a comment where you were when this album came out or whatever, when you bought it. And I'm always amazed at how many people have these cool stories, and they're all like this, same story, like, guys, with my buddies and we heard it on the radio, or I was in the military in San Diego. And I think that record did touch a lot of people. I mean, there weren't very many bands. I don't, I mean, I'm looking at it as a historian. Rock bands, newer rock bands that were really coming out at the time. You had Loverboy, kind of Survivor, REO, and then Night Ranger's the first one. It's really like got the Guitar Hero. Not that Gary Richrath isn't great, but totally different with Brad and Jeff. And then not too long after that, you start getting the Rats and the Motley Crues and all that. So, uh,
It's funny. I had a discussion with a guy at work, younger than me, about Night Ranger because I'm always talking about Night Ranger with young people who don't know who they are. And he was like, "Oh yeah, weren't they one of the hair bands?" And I said, "Well, I said let's take it easy with hair band." I said, they got lumped into that. I said, but they were from Northern California. They weren't part of the Sunset Strip. I said they're much more talented and wrote better songs than most of those hair bands. I said, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I would call them a hair band.
Arena
They're
Rock.
in that era, but I would not
Yeah.
think of them as hair. I said they didn't wear makeup that
Yeah.
I knew of.
Um,
You know,
I always, I don't like the term hair band, and I'm sure if you're into listening to like people like Eddie Trunk and stuff, Eddie Trunk hates. He's got a show on Hair Nation, but he's like, I hate that it's called Hair Nation, but
yeah,
he hates the term hair bands because to him, and I agree, to me it takes away from the talent.
yeah,
To me it's arena. I like arena rock better. I mean,
yeah.
you
It fits
know,
better. I mean, there's bands like Tesla who don't fit the bill of a hair band,
yeah.
but they're from that era.
Yeah. So is what it is. So a few.
What else you got going on? Any
I,
news? Anything going on in the
yeah.
world of Night
Well.
Ranger? Any tour dates? Are they playing any more
Oh
shows?
yeah. I got this. Do some.
When are they next play at Ohio? Is what I want to know.
So the next, actually, their next show, their next show is in December in
December 8th, right?
Ohio. Give me a second here. Bada bing.
I had a handful of people ask me if I was coming to that one. I was like, I don't think I can make that one. I want to, but I don't think I can make it. I think I have to work that day.
All right, so December 8th, Troy, Ohio, Hobart Arena, um, Thursday night. Get your tickets because actually that show is selling really, really well. Um, December 9th, the next night, they're in Mount Pleasant,
Michigan.
Michigan with Loverboy.
Man, that would be a great show for me and Brent.
Um,
I've been to Mount Pleasant, Michigan, but believe it or not,
no way.
I have.
I'll be
There's a
damned.
story I'll tell you later, but there's a
All
story. I've
right.
been to Mount Pleasant
All right. December
twice.
3rd. Wow. So you went back. Does it involve a broad?
It does.
Yeah. December 30th, Las Vegas, Nevada.
That would be awesome.
And just announced December 31st in the mighty metropolis of Oroville, California at the Gold County Casino or something like that. Ring in the new year with Night Ranger.
We should do that. Fans in Motion road trip.
Yeah, Vegas, and I'm willing. Let's
Put it
do
on
it.
the company credit card, Josh. You got that one, right?
Yeah.
Black Amex.
Yeah. Like that. Um uh January 28th, Larchwood, Iowa. Not to be mistaken with the other Larchwoods in the United States.
Yeah.
But Larchwood, Iowa, January 28th. The Rock Legends Cruise, February 13th to the 17th. A show that I don't know, will you be at, Andrew? February 5th at the Ryman Auditorium, Nashville,
I
Tennessee.
have my tickets. I will be there.
There
The
you
Mighty
go.
Rhyme the Mother Church of Country Music.
Yeah. Um, February 24th, Tulsa, Oklahoma at the it's a casino show. April 22nd, the Rock from the Heart that's usually in North Dakota, which they're still doing there, but they're branching out to other cities. April 22nd, Baltimore, Maryland. Go see the Night Rangers, and then after that, go see the Orioles. Um, June 10th, Sunbury, Pennsylvania. I'm trying to think. I think that's like an outdoor festival type thing. Maybe I can't remember now, but June 30th, Algonia, Iowa. Not to be mistaken with the other Algonias in the United States. That is a 3-day festival, freedom rally or some thing, and I think that's a Friday night. I think Saturday night. Trace Adkins, singer of Badonk Donk Country Song, uh, is there that night. So those are some new dates. There is a Puerto Rico date it's kind of out there a little bit. I don't think it's official, but they will be in Puerto Rico probably, on the beginning or the end of that cruise
Yeah.
date. But more dates to come.
Yeah, I love it. They're already starting to book out into the next year. I can't wait. I mean, it looks
We
like they're one of these bands that's done a perpetual always playing, and I like that.
yeah.
So you got an opportunity to see them. I mean, any given weekend, they're playing somewhere.
Yeah. I
You just got
mean,
to get in your car and drive.
if you're somewhere in the Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, old belt right there, hell, it's probably time for them to stay at your house. They're, you know, playing so many dates there.
I'll put it out to them, Josh. When they're in Nashville, if they want to come over for homemade pizza or something, I got a couple guest rooms. They're welcome to stay at the Palatial Parker Mansion here.
All right,
I mean,
so
they can get on the kit, play a couple songs. I'm not opposed to it. I'd let Kelly sit behind my kit.
you'd be like, Kelly, scoot over. Let me show you how
Let me
this.
hold on, Kelly. Let me show you something.
It's bum bum bum. Um, So, for those that have been asking, no need to message Ed Repepi. The Night Ranger shirts that were on sale at the orchestra show, the Danny Repepi Memorial, those will be on the website, the Night Ranger website, for sale here soon.
Great
Okay.
shirt too, by the way.
Well, I got it right here. So this is the front.
Love it.
It's long sleeved.
Love that.
The back.
Look at this.
So it's has the date. The
Cleveland rocks.
Yeah. And then on the sleeve, on one sleeve, you got Cleveland rocks on one sleeve, or whatever was it say?
Yeah, Cleveland rocks.
What's on the other sleeve? I think it says Night Ranger, right? Yeah, it does. So Night Rangers got some musical notes. So there you go with that. So those will be on the Night Ranger site here in a week or so.
Yeah.
And then Fans in Motion. We showed this at the Winking Lizard. So we put some designs together, and we all kind of looked at them, and we thought this was the best one. So we've put together some Fans in Motion shirts for those that have been asking. So here is the front. So you can see the, as Brent calls it, the Alive 2 logo, because it's got the same colors.
Yeah, the color fades.
But we got the best print, so you can actually see how those colors fade. That's what that costs a little bit extra to get all those different colors in there. And we got the best quality shirt. And then on the back, always on tour with the website fansinmotion.com. The always on tour is, the thought behind that is, no matter where you go to see Night Ranger, there's going to be a Fans in Motion person there. So we are always represented. Therefore, we are always on
Heck
tour.
yeah.
So, like I said, it's a good quality shirt, front and back design. I just put a price tag on it for $30. $30. We're not making a profit off of it. That's for the shirt, the packing material, and for postage. So postage included.
So $30 is everything.
Is everything.
In the United States, though.
Yeah. I'm not.
Like if Mark wants one in England, that's going to cost a few dollars.
Yeah. So that, that's what we're doing. So if you want one, send me a message on the Facebook machine, and I will get you the details.
You should sell 5s of those.
Actually, I had a pretty good response. I was surprised.
I can't believe I wants anything from us.
Huh?
I can't believe it tell us to shut up a little bit.
It was interesting, with that many people being in Cleveland, so many people talking about the podcast. Yeah. And I was just like surprised, or they would bring something up. I'm like, I guess I was just not surprised. I mean, I could see the numbers, people listening, but when it's actually brought to you multiple times, and it's like the podcast, and I'm like,
I'll say this: it's a very strange feeling to walk into a room and people you. They're like yelling out your name, and I'm like, hey, and I'm like, why do they know me? You forget, I forget, and then I'm like, oh shit, that's right. You see us on the and it's very off-putting and a little. I mean, it's very flattering to have somebody know who you are, but it's
the first few times,
I don't think any of us expected people to recognize us in public. And
first few times, I had to like, hey, Josh, like I immediately was, I'm like, it's the fucking feds.
Yeah, here they come.
All right, I fucking gotta book it out of here. But yeah, like even where was that? Iron Maiden. I went and saw Iron Maiden with my buddy, and we're walking to our seats or whatever, and so I hear someone go, Josh, and I just figured they're talking to someone else. I kind of glanced over and I could see him looking at me and Night Ranger. I'm like, yeah. So, um, so
Well,
good.
well, also it's also awesome to put a lot of faces with some names. You don't always recognize people, and you start hanging out with them. And I tell you, I had more than one person, and we had the same conversation multiple times. Was when they would say something positive about the page, like, I'm glad you guys are doing this or whatever. And I said, tell me if you had this feeling. You thought you were the only one who still liked Night Ranger. And everyone's like, yeah. Like, I thought I was alone. I was like, yeah. I
Mhm.
said, so did we. I said, but now you're not. I said, look around. This room is filled with people that they had the
Yeah.
exact same thought as you. I said, and there's passion about this band. And the minute you think you're passionate, you meet someone else who's way more passionate, and you're like, holy shit. Like, I thought I was a fan. But
Yeah. I mean, I always knew they weren't making those records just for me. You know,
yeah, right.
uh, someone's out there buying them. I'm pretty sure they're not going to the studio. Hey, Josh wants another record. Let's get High Road going.
Let's go and
Um,
spend $50,000 in
so I
pressing.
knew there was someone out there, but it's like it's cool that we've created this community and stuff,
I love it. It's one of the
and I
greatest
mean,
things of the.
I got when we were in talking about meeting everybody when in Cleveland when everybody got to meet you and Brent, I got a lot of people going, oh, I see why you feel the urge to drink heavily after
Yeah,
talking to him. That
sure,
was,
sure.
yeah, that was horrible. I'm like, I'm telling you, man.
Do you see how much
Uh,
Mark was drinking the whole time? He was trapped with us. You could
uh,
turn it off and drive away.
um, but yeah. So if you get a chance, make sure you hit one of these shows, and if
Yeah,
even if we're not there, put something on the page saying that you're there, and and meet up with people. Found this in the archives.
look at that.
So probably the same thing like all these bands do is, they wherever they go, they tape these outside. You got, Damn Yankees production or Night Ranger production, Night Ranger crew, Night Ranger dressing room. So this would hung out outside
Yeah.
one of the rooms there. Um, and the other thing I had sitting around here was an old advertisement from the Aussie tour in England with Brad. But the weird thing about England was Speak of the Devil was retitled Talk of the Devil.
Huh.
So if you get a copy from England, on the vinyl it says Talk of the Devil, and if you look at the top here, the tour,
Talk of the Devil tour.
yeah. So
Interesting.
fucking British. Uh, all right, we'll jump into a little bit of fans in emotion
Fire away.
news. Let's see here. So, what's some cool stuff that we got? Here we go. James Gillum, my buddy from Florida, he flew up for the show with his daughter and I think his girlfriend. That the Winking Lizard a couple nights had a Brad Gillis shirt on there. He had a friend make these glasses, and it's got their name, the Night Ranger logo, and the city and the date.
Look at that, man.
Pretty
That's
sweet.
really nice.
W. Orion Fairman, who I met for the first time in Cleveland. We always kind of miss each
He's
other.
he's a bit of a wild man.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Um,
I had a great time with hanging out with him.
Lost Weekend Records, which is a record store
Yeah.
in Columbus. They posted a picture of some of their vinyl for sale, and he posted it on our page. And look what is right out front there.
Look at that bad boy. A little Midnight Madness.
Oh yeah, Ken Finley, good buddy, who was
Good
also in
man.
Cleveland. I like hanging out with Ken. He's an all right guy. Um, Watching my New York Rangers play in Nashville on TV, and during the break in action, what do I hear playing on the arena speakers? Motorin', what's your price for flight? Well played, Nashville. Well played. It's always cool when you hear one of your band's songs, either at the stadium or like on TV, and you hear it in the background.
Oh God, yeah.
Um, Probably 2007-ish, there was a Cincinnati Reds player. I can't think who it was. I think they batted about 7th or 8th. It was a little bit later in the lineup. And it might have been at like their third at bat. They would come out to motor and watch that part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I had season tickets that year, so I was at enough games where I caught on, oh, if that guy's playing, like the
Yeah.
third at bat, he'll play that song. And it was always cool. And this Tory in the Backstreet Bar on the south side of Nashville, Indiana, where the music never stops and the sun never hangs around. Three strangers meet. Look at these guys. Like they're about ready to fist each other.
Oh boy. We were at Mr. Fister's bar.
Ah, really?
Yeah, they were asking where you were.
Yeah, well,
They had your name up on there. They had some
well,
some stool with your name reserved on
I
it.
don't like I'm more of this guy. When you get the rubber hand. Tom Chapin.
Chapin.
He basically, sending his thoughts to Dave Nadelman. I think last year maybe Patty Soares couldn't come, and he had a little thing that people held up, and this year a thing that said we love Dave Nadelman, and got all of our pictures there. So
yeah,
good man, Chapin. Yeah. Other than that, there was no like art for the Orville, Indiana show, so I just made that.
yeah.
And another thing, like you see that new trend, like on I don't know all the reels and stuff, where like the girls are like in baggy clothes. My screenshot, like taking, is fucking improving so much. Like, what I mean? Because they only show like a second, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and
so
like
you hit that pause button.
At first, I'm always getting not the pause button, but like the screenshot, right? And at first, I'm a little slow. I'm getting them back in their baggy clothes, and
yeah,
where they look like, you don't want that, but now it's like, man, I could time that perfectly. I get right at the perfect bounce and their bathing suit or whatever they're in. So anyways, I felt like you should know that.
Way to go, pervy.
Hey, I like seeing titties. What can I say? I mean, it's a good trend. There's not a lot of trends I'm all for, but this is
this one you're on board with.
Like, I never got like the ice bucket challenge, right? Like, hey, you dump this on your head, you don't have to donate money. Like, well, how the fuck is that helping?
It's not helping anybody.
Yeah, like, why don't you just dump it on your head and donate
or just donate the money? Yeah.
Yeah, and I never got that, but this, like the whole bounce. Oh yeah, dude, I hope this thing is not
keeps going.
I hope it's not a fad. Like, I hope it's the thing, right? 10 years from now, I'll still be happy. Won't get tired of it. So yeah. And there's not a titty I don't like. You know what I mean? Like, I've not one of them.
You're not discriminating.
Yeah, it's like, I don't care if they're small. I'll push them together, make one big one. It's all good to me. So Andrew, take us out. Tell everybody where they can find us at.
Well, if you don't know by now, you must be new. And if you're still listening, you must have something wrong with you. But hey, if you want to listen to us, we're available on all the big podcatchers. You can catch us on Apple and Spotify and iHeartRadio and Amazon. What else is out there, Josh? Audio Mac, Pandora. Looking at my little cheat sheet here. And YouTube is where you really want to go, because you get to see us. If you're listening to this, you're really missing out. You want to watch this train wreck.
Oh, you want to?
You ever watched a car slowly go off a cliff? That's us. That's us in video form.
If you get lucky.
Speaking of hot Night Ranger talk.
If you get lucky, next week maybe the three of us will do the.
Yeah, I mean, I
See,
I don't know how they do it, but I'm in. What the hell?
Yeah.
But
Um,
thank you if you're still watching or you're still listening. Thank you guys so much. And please, we ask everybody just tell one person, spread the love, and we're building this community. It's getting bigger,
hey,
Josh. I mean, I haven't seen the latest numbers. Last I looked, we're at about
dude,
7,400 people, man.
we're fucking huge. Do me a favor, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
And if you have not liked or followed or wherever the hell it is on Instagram and Twitter, go do it. Um, our, I'm
it's
actually,
just
I do sometimes more stuff, especially Twitter. You're going to get a lot of information from Night Ranger
yeah,
on Twitter because I could easily just go there and share stuff. So if it's something huge, obviously I'll put it on Facebook, but just um, little interesting stuff, cool advertisements that people, I can just retweet those real quick.
yep.
So you definitely want to go on the Twitter machine. It's kind of like the wild, wild west over there right now with the whole whatever's going on. It's
Are you
interesting.
verified, Josh? You paying the $8 to be Josh to be fans in motion?
um, well, you saw where what was it? Eli Libby, the
Eli
big,
Lilly.
yeah, like they cost them billions or
Whoopsie.
millions. But yeah. So um, but yeah, it's a lot of information there. So thank you for joining us. Thank you to everybody who came to Cleveland. It was greatly appreciated from us,
Yeah.
and I know the band was appreciative. Um, Ed was appreciative. I mean, Kelly even gave us a shout out. Kelly did that. He sent me back the photo and said he wanted that on his page. And here's what I want to say. And I
Oh,
did it, so
that's
that's,
awesome.
he, I mean, I sent him a couple of the photos that we took that night. And maybe it was the next day. He sent,
Yeah.
I want, out of the couple I sent, he sent one back that he wanted to use. And he's, that was all him. That wasn't, something just made up out of the air. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, it's all good, man. So, next week, hopefully we'll have old Brent Tree back. And like I said, we'll get Mark on here sometime in December. And yeah, it's all good, man. It's good to be a Night Ranger fan. And
Yeah, I mean, I know the page has been flooded with posts of from us and Mark and our adventures, but God, there's been these past week, the two shows that we were at. God, there's some great pictures and just so many posts. I mean, I don't know how many you guys have had to approve, and
well, when people post, I tend to try to approve one every 30 minutes. Um, if it's a double post, like let's say you post three in a row,
mm-hmm.
I may approve one of yours and then other people and then go back to your next one.
Right.
So, just be patient. Uh,
I just love it. I mean, I get up in the morning and I'm eating my breakfast and I check on Facebook, and first thing I go to is Fans in Motion, and I mean, I have so many notifications from people posting pictures and tagging fans. It's just awesome, and I don't know.
yeah.
I love it.
Well,
I mean, in a world that seems like it's spinning out of control sometimes, I like this little corner of the internet that we've got. It's fun.
well, the key is just to be out of control yourself a little bit more than the world. Then the world looks kind of sane.
Looks normal as you're
Yeah.
spinning.
And to anyone who's messaged me, I'm really behind on my messages. So, not being rude or ignoring you. I've gotten the back to a few of you today, and I'm just
Yeah, I don't know if they realize that you actually have a job besides
well,
running Fans in Motions podcast and the
um,
social media and stuff.
with Cleveland, there was just a lot of you
Yeah.
know stuff going on. People message, different things, and just being there to show, and then my kid being sick and everything else. I wasn't really. That was
Yeah.
the one part I neglected, and
Well, and how is the boy? Is he fine? Is he
he's all
better?
right. He just had a
Just a kid being
fever and a
sick?
cough, and and I had Veterans Day off, so I knew I could leave Thursday, be with him if he
Yeah.
didn't have school, or if he was still sick, I could stay home with him.
Yeah.
And then I probably wouldn't have gone Thursday anyways because they announced like early in that week, hey, we're going to have a Veterans Day parade for the kids, for you to come to school and all the kids get to shake your hand or whatever, and then your student gets to have drink, refreshments and stuff. I'm like, that little shit would like me being there. So
Heck yeah, an extra yoo-hoo. Hell yeah, I'm
yeah.
in.
So either way, I probably would have been there Friday. Came home. I was thinking about driving Thursday.
Yeah.
One of the plans we had, me and Eric were going to drive from Cleveland to Nashville.
Nashville, yeah.
And have a few beers, Thursday night, and then I was going to drive home Friday morning. But to be at the Veterans Day thing.
Yeah.
But then when he was sick, I'm like, I'm just going to go home and take care of him that day. So, yeah, he's fine.
Good.
But yeah, there was just a lot of people that messaged me, and I hate, people thinking like, oh, he didn't fucking message me back. Yeah, I'm not, I'm getting there. I just, I'm not that at that level yet where I can just ignore people. Right?
Yeah, but you're getting there.
Yeah,
I mean, I had a lot of people ask me what's with Josh. I was like, he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what was not normal. Not only am I usually a dick, but when I was at the Tuesday afternoon when I was going to the venue, the day before the show, very complicated venue in the back. I mean, it's like a city. All the buildings are connected, so it's like a big city block. And I'm looking up, trying to figure out, where I'm going, and I'm walking on a road. Well, where I'm walking, it eventually kind of becomes a sidewalk, and it goes up, and my foot went off, and
I forgot about this.
I skinned up my right knee, like just bloody, right? And so I go in and meet him, and and Brad sees it, and like, dude, he's got like shit, right? Like, in his locker, and I'm like, I'm all right, he's like, no, and then someone there's like, you'd be the same way, Brad. You wouldn't want anybody, and I was like, it's fine. Well, that, after I got that taken care of, my left foot, I don't know what I did, but I could barely walk. It still hurts. It's gotten a little bit better. Like, I still walk with a limp even today.
When you were messaging me like, hey, can you guys pick me up? I'm like, the hell, he's right across the street from the Weekend Lizard. And I'm like, wow, what's wrong with you? You're like, I rolled my ankle. I'm like, oh shit. All right. Yeah.
It wasn't my ankle. It was it's
your
like
foot.
It's like in my foot, like on the outside. And dude, you don't appreciate your feet till something's fucked up with them.
Absolutely.
And so not only do I not like people generally, my foot fucking hurt. So yeah, double whammy.
But you know what? Some beers at the Wink and Lizard, I'm sure will help that.
This might be the longest outro ever.
Yeah, we're still talking. All right, hey.
Yeah, we're just testing how much you want to listen. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. We will see you hopefully next.